Okay. So we are in chapter 11, verse 114. So he says, Akimi salata tarafay nahar wa zulafan min al-layl. Now let's understand this verse. There are 3 salats mentioned in this verse. 3 salats mentioned in this verse. I'm breaking it down for you. Akimi salata tarafay. This tarafay is double instance. That is a conjunction of 2 things. Right? Tarafay nahar. The day has 2 sides, which is what? Morning and evening. That is dawn and evening. Bukratan wa asila. Or we say what? Fajr and what? Isha. Right? It's like telling the prophet. Right? Then he says wa zulafa. He didn't say ila. He didn't use the preposition ila. He says mina. Is different. Wazulafa, he didn't say ila layl. If he says ila layl, he's still talking about the 2 salats. But the word wa zulafa, he brought mina. That mina here tells you the wa God put there is a preposition. It is not a conjunction. Now, when we say end as a preposition, it's used with what? The addition of or increase by. So it is used to add something, to increase something. As a preposition. But when it is used as a conjunction, it's used to connect words, clauses, or sentences, used to indicate that the following thing is also included or add an additional point. So when this word wa is used as a conjunction, that 2 things mentioned is the same thing together. But when it is this word end is used as a preposition, it is showing you that something is added on its own. Listen carefully. So when God says, Akimi salata tarafay nahar, tell you the day has 2 sides. Fajr and Isha, it is not part of the night. Isha is not night prayer. Fajr is not night prayer. They are all part of the day. Then he says, wazulafa min al-layl. He didn't say ila. He didn't say ila layl. If you say ila, then that means that is still part of the day. Now he's talking about the night. So out of the night, when we say mina, is from the night. There is another salat there. In the night. From the night. That is why chapter 50, verse 39 to 40, where he says, وَمِنَ اللَّيْلِ فَسَبِّهُ وَأَدْبَارَ السُّجُودِ. For the glorification. He told you that after the prostration, there's glorification there. So there's a night salat there. That you do salat in the night. So after the night salat, you can do your glorification. Do you see it? So chapter 11, verse 114 is not 2 salats, it's 3 salats mentioned in that verse for the prophet. So somebody will say, oh, only this verse you are going to base on it. So let's go to the next verse to explain that verse. We go to chapter 17, verse 78 to 79 to explain chapter 11. Now, we are going to 78 to 79 in order to explain the previous verses, right? So now, we are using the messenger as an example. لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ, right? So now this is what God says. Akimi, you see the word. It didn't say Akimu. If you say Akimu, he's talking to us all, the believers, everybody. Now he's still talking to the messenger. Because we are using him as an example to follow. So whenever there is a command to do something, God must use him first. Because he is the example I am following. If God hasn't commanded him to do, I don't need to do it. No. Because he is the role model we are following. لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. You see the point. So now, chapter 17, verse 70, he says, Akimi salata. God is telling him to establish the salat. Then he says, Liduluki. This word duluki comes from the word dalaka. Dalaka. Right? Liduluki shams. Still talking about the daytime. Now, when we say duluki shams, that is when the sun is declining. Is declining. It started by li. It can be at or by. So the word is at the declining of the sun. Then you can see the preposition ellah is going. It is going. Ila gasakil layl. It is still going. It hasn't ended. So when God says liduluki shams ila gasakil layl, that salat you are establishing at the declining of the sun hasn't ended. It is still going. Ila gasakil layl. Until the twilight of the night. There is a salat there. You see, 1, not 2, not 3, not 5, not 10. For people who are telling you there is Zuhr and Asr, that's a lie. God is explaining something there. He hasn't finished. So at the declining of the sun until the twilight of the night, or to the twilight of the night, here there is Isha prayer. That is Isha Salat there. That is late afternoon, evening. And when we say Isha, evening, what does evening mean? In Arabic, you can say Asila or you can say Ashi. That is Isha, according to the Quran, right? It is the latter part of the day. What part is that? The period of decreasing light from late afternoon until what? Nightfall. That is what we call Ashi or Isha. That is the nightfall area. That is evening. That is the definition there. So when the sun starts declining, we call it what? Maghrib. It's going to set. It's going to that side. But God is using the sun because sun is part of the day time. So remember chapter 11, verse 114. Akimin salata torafahin nahar. He mentioned nahar. Nahar has to do with the what? Shams, the sun. They go hand to hand together. Do you see? So now, here, chapter 17, verse 78. Akimin salata liduluki shams ila gasakil layl. It's not talking about 2 salats there. One thing going on there. Then now he brings the preposition by saying wa. And what does he say? He says wa quranalofficer. And the reading of the what? Dawn. You can see the dawn time has been mentioned now. Liduluki shams ila gasakil layl is talking about the evening. Isha, Ashi, Asila. Then it goes, preposition, wa quranalofficer, and the reading of the what? The dawn. Fajr is dawn time. So that is another salat at the dawn time. Do you see? In the previous verse, chapter 11, verse 114, God used both as conjunction. Akimi salat tarafayin nahar. He said, tarafayin nahar. Both instances as a conjunction, 2 things, the same time. Then here, he used, after defining the evening time, he went ahead to define the Fajr time for you. Wa Quran al-Fajr. Then he says, Inna Quran al-Fajr kana mashhuda. Indeed, the reading of the dawn can be what? Observed, can be witnessed. Or should be, or shall be, or will be observed. The reading of the dawn can be observed. Now, in my previous lecture, I've told about this word reading. For instance, in the Quran, a lot of words have multiple meanings. One word can have multiple meanings, but based on context, then you choose which doesn't have a contradiction to insert in. Now, when you use the reading, it can be reading of the dawn based on the Quran, or it can be reading of the dawn based on what? The Fajr, weather. Now, when you go in that chapter 17, verse 78, it mentioned 2 salats there. Salat al-Fajr and Salat al-Isha. Both of them are based on the weather at daytime. Because Fajr is not considered at night. Fajr is not night. Take your dictionary and check the meaning of dawn. It is not night. That is the first light of the day. That is dawn. Good. Then verse 79, this is where it shows the 3rd salat, right? Remember, this is another preposition. It's a continuation of what the command God is giving the prophet in chapter 17, verse 78. So the command continues. وَمِنَ اللَّيْلِ. Do you see here? After telling him about the Isha and the Fajr, now he goes, وَمِنَ اللَّيْلِ. فَتَهَجَّدُ بِهِ. That is the reading of the dawn. فَتَهَجَّدُ بِهِ. You get up and then do the reading, right? فَتَهَجَّدُ بِهِ. Then he says what? نَافِلَةً لَكَ. Is talking to the Muhammad alayhi salam, because he is the example we are following. نَافِلَةً لَكَ أَسَىٰ أَنْ يَبَعَثَكَ رَبُّكَ مَقَامًا مَحْمُودًا. And of the night, thus stay awake for it. That is for the reading, right? As superfluous, that is extra, bonus for you. Perhaps your Lord will raise you to a commendable position. Now, if I'm following this honorable man as an example, as a messenger, and as an example for me to follow, chapter 33, verse 21, and I can see God giving him instruction of 3 salats in the Quran: Fajr, Isha, and Layl, the night salat. Why will I do something else? Do you see the point?